minutes. But while I'm thinking about it, I have a little story time. And it has to do with Starbucks. I wish it was a positive story. Um, it really isn't. And it has to do with the ableist assumption that a lot of able-bodied people make when they see a disabled person in public, and they automatically assume that their actions, whatever they may be and however they may be, um, are going to make a difference or going to help the person. Or, and the way they go about that is they just kind of muscle on through. And, I sometimes think that because, like, after the pandemic, I don't think people are used to dealing with other people. So I think that I've just noticed a lot more of this type of behavior, just mindless behavior. And that's fine if you're dealing with a phone screen, but that's not fine if you're dealing with a person with differing mobility needs and mobility aids. So because you don't know that person, and because you're not a medical doctor, and because that person is not asking you for help, you should just leave that person alone. Um, I find it really odd how seemingly able-bodied people like to virtue signal about looking like they're helping a person, even if their actions harm that disabled person. So anyway, I'm sort of being obtuse, but yes, um, I live within scootering distance of a Starbucks. It's very convenient, and I have some points that I wanted to spend. Their app was down though, so but anyway, I had some gift cards. So yeah, and I need to get out of the house anyway because I work at home, and sometimes I just end up staying at home, and that's not always good. But so yeah, I had a lovely jaunt over to the Starbucks, and usually that's a really great little, kind of bike ride for me. I never had a bike because I'm disabled, so I look at my scooter now as like my chance to bike, where I never had a chance to bike. Well, okay, so I need people to know that unless a person in a scooter is asking for help through the door, please just get out of their way. Please. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I'll speak for me. Get out of my way when I'm coming through the door in a scooter. First of all, it's a large vehicle or a machine that's coming through a small area. So there's really not, I mean, unless you know me, unless I tell you how to help me beforehand and clear it beforehand. And that's another thing that most able-bodied strangers don't know. They don't know that when an able-bodied person who's a friend of a disabled person is with that person, many times we brief them about, like, okay, this is how I need help here, or this is how you might be able to help me here, or I sometimes need help here. So we've already briefed that person. So we don't need you coming in trying to mess up what we already have going on. It just makes it an absolute mess. And in my case, I was alone, which I'm going to have a whole another discussion about how able-bodied people make the assumption that I should have a helper when I'm 50 years old. I am 50 years old. I don't need a helper. Um, sometimes that's just the truth, that I have people that are helping me, or I have friends, but that doesn't mean that they're my aid or my helper. So they kind of get disturbed. The able-bodied public, and you wouldn't really know this unless you were disabled. The able-bodied public tends to get disturbed and acts like I automatically need their help because I exist. And there's not really, oh, people are watching me. Hello. There's not really a way to explain that is ableist. So anyway, let me get back to my my story. Okay, so I'm going through the door And, it's always kind of like in my mind, I'm like, oh God, who am I going to have to deal with now? Because they're just going to get in my way. Because in reality, when you're going through a door with a scooter, it is a machine. I have a certain way of using it when I'm going through a door. I already know what I'm going to do when I go through that door. So there's no amount of help that you can provide me as a stranger unless I expressly ask you, like, hey, can you do this? And then you just follow my directions. But if I'm not asking that, then I don't know why, other than ableist virtue signaling, you would take it upon yourself to like be all awkward and put your arm in front of the door and like try to wedge in between. This guy. He got up, and I understand that when you see a disabled person coming, it's instinctive. We've been conditioned to believe, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to try to be of assistance. That's not the problem. The problem is when you're trying to be of assistance to that person and you do not listen to them, and it causes injury either to yourself or to me as a disabled person. That's the problem. Not the problem of you wanting to help, but the way you're helping is not helping. Asking is helping, especially if you're a stranger to that person. You don't know that person's body. You don't know that person's capabilities. You don't know how many times they've, practiced going through a door with a wheelchair. And that's another thing too. When we're young and you have a lifelong disability, we get something called occupational therapy, or at least I did. It's learning how to navigate the world, learning how to use a world that's not built for you. And I can't read any of these comments, but thank you so much for watching. Learning how to, navigate the world. And we get something, and many disabled people, especially of my generation, Generation X, got that extensively as children. So we already know how to go through a door. We already know how to walk with our crutches. We already know. So unless you see us falling down and injuring ourselves, please do not rush to our aid so you can look like the savior of all disabled people. Because lo and behold and lo, what happened is this guy that was wearing headphones, and I didn't realize this when it was in the midst of this. I said to him, and he was trying to squeeze through like this little way to like open the door, and it was really awkward when I was already opening the door, because by the very nature of me being in a scooter, the scooter serves as my helper. The scooter is what is opening the door. So no amount of your intervention is going to assist in that endeavor. And then another thing that friends and other people that aren't in the situation always say is like, just tell somebody that you don't need help. But by the time you're telling them, they're not listening to you. And they're already doing the thing you don't want them to do. And that's exactly what happened here. The guy, he got up, he was trying to go through the door, and I'm just like, I'm going to run over your foot. I said this 3 times. I said, I'm going to run over your foot. I'm going to run over your foot. Please get out of the way. I'm going to run over your foot. You're in my way. He didn't get out of the way. I ran over his foot, and then he proceeded, like an ableist bastard, to pat me on the back like I was a special little child that, oh, isn't it wonderful that I helped you? No, it isn't. It isn't wonderful. And it's a form of bigotry to rush to someone's aid, but then not listen to what they need. And he wasn't even in the space to listen to what I needed, because he didn't even take his headphones out and go, oh, you're speaking to me. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. What was that? Oh, yes. Let me get my foot out of the way before it gets run over. And all he wanted to do was virtue signal in Starbucks. And that's what's wrong about it. It's like, it's so annoying. And it's like, sometimes disabled people act annoyed when you ask for that, if they would like to, have your help, because we just don't want to answer any questions about our daily lives. We just don't want to answer any questions. I just want to go spend my Starbucks points and come back home and start working, right? I don't want to answer any questions about my disability. I don't want to answer any questions about my physicality. I don't want to answer any questions about how you can and can't help me because lifelong able bodied or disabled people, and even people that are newly disabled, by and large, again, unless you see like a medical emergency, we don't need your help. We've gone through a door before, and you're just going to get in our way, especially someone with a lifelong physical, visible disability. We've navigated the world and we've learned how to navigate the world long before you see us do it, long before you see us do it. And it's not anger. I don't have anger about my disability. I don't have some chip on my shoulder about it. I have annoyance. It's annoyance that I even have to open my mouth to speak on uh please get out of my way. I'm going to run over your foot. You're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. Oh wow, you're really not listening to me. I'm going to run over your foot. And then and then, of course, I'm a little, annoyed, and then nobody understands that I'm annoyed because they think that I should just be grateful for someone trying to help me. And that is not equality, my friends. The the notion that disabled people should just be grateful for whatever you do to us or however you receive us is ableism. It's ableism. And I know it's just a guy trying to be helpful and trying to help me through the door, but he literally injured himself. I injured him. And if he would have just sat his happy ass down in his computer and smiled at me as I came through the door without a problem, that wouldn't have been a problem. But again, he wanted to virtue signal and pat me on the back and smile at me like I was a 2-year-old child. And he didn't even help me. That's the thing. His actions didn't even help me, and he doesn't even know what he did wrong. But that's okay. Sometimes I didn't even explain it to him. I realized that he had headphones on. He wasn't going to listen to me, so I just didn't even talk to him. So then I went and got my drink. It's a London Fog with 2 scoops of lavender, by the way. It's really delicious and wonderful. It's my favorite drink. It's my favorite Starbucks drink, and I've had bronchitis for the last month, and it's really been helping me. But anyway, so I go back, I get my drink or whatever, and I go back through the door, and this floored me too. These people that were sitting next to him, that just observed that whole interaction, how I ran over his foot, how I was telling him, I'm going to run over your foot. These people that were sitting next to him, they go, do you need our help? And I, of course, said no, because, okay, here's the thing. By the time you able-bodied strangers observe a disabled person doing something, I don't care what it is, going through a door, sitting down and, adjusting themselves, picking something up off the ground, whatever it is. By the time you observe us doing that and think to your head like, oh, she's differently abled or she's disabled. I hate the word differently able, but she's disabled. She might need my help. By the time that goes through your head, we're already done doing whatever it is you see us doing. Okay. So any amount of intervention with you is not going to help. And I don't understand why people think they can open the door incorrectly for someone that has a mobility scooter. Like there's nowhere for you to be to open the door. And the mobility scooter is going to smash through the door and you're going to be in the way. And that happens every single time. And like I said, a lot of times when we're out with friends who aren't necessarily my aide, just because I'm with somebody doesn't mean it's my aide. And I was married, and people used to think that my husband was my helper all the time. It was so annoying. It was so stupid. It was like, no, he's not my helper. He helps me in a lot of ways, but not the ways that you think. That's a little humor there. But anyway, yeah. So I was annoyed by an able-bodied person in Starbucks virtue signaling, and I actually injured them through no fault of my own. It's just, I don't know why able-bodied people can't just leave well enough alone and just if you see a disabled person coming through a door, sit where you are and leave them alone unless they were to say, "Hi, can you help me with this? Hi, can you get the door for me?" Unless they say that, leave them alone. I ask, and also, if you really feel that they need help, ask them if they need help. Say, "Hey, can I get the door for you?" And if they say no, believe them, and then don't go on in some narrative in your head where you think that there's some chip on our shoulder or we must be upset about our disability because we didn't accept your help. Because that becomes more about your ego than actually helping me. And I am done serving able-bodied people's ego about assistance with my body. It's my body. I get to say who helps me and who doesn't. And if I tell you I don't want your help, then listen to me. And you know what? That's helpful. That's helpful when able-bodied people listen to disabled people, you know. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I just, it's you can never predict these things. That's what another thing that people think. Like when I'm recounting these stories, I call them disability chats on my Facebook. When I'm recounting these stories, people that aren't disabled or don't have knowledge or experience with like either an elderly parent or somebody being ageist or ableist towards an elderly parent or someone if they acquire a disability themselves, they somewhat might have some knowledge about what I'm talking about. But when I'm recounting these stories, they look at me like I'm an alien from outer space, like this. Oh my God, this never I can't even believe this happens to you. These people are so rude all the time to you. And I'm just like, yeah, it's called ableism. And it's an unknowable form of bigotry because it's not like you can sit a person down and go, you know what, assuming that I need your help and assuming that your intervention is going to make me look more normal as I walk through a door, because that's really the goal. Really, the subconscious goal is if I don't look normal, that must mean I need their help. And that is not the case. I'm never going to look normal going through a door in a scooter or frankly walking through a door. I'm never going to look like you think it should look. It's going to look weird. It's going to look odd to you because I have a different body type than you. And you should just learn to accept that instead of trying to intervene ineffectively and incorrectly. Anyway, I hope you got something out of this talk. I just needed a vent, so thank you for being my therapy. And also, I think that it's incorrect sometimes to always assume that disabled people are just bitching about going through a door or bitching about access in a building when that is actually the floor of concerns, not the ceiling. Uh, Accessibility and the way people perceive accessibility is not the only thing as far as disability rights. It's not the end all that be all of concern. But I mean, here we are. I'm 50 years old. I've been, living in an inaccessible world and a world that is not built for me my whole life. And, I'm still bitching about the same thing. I mean, it's crazy. It's Oh, and I wanted to make another observance before I go to work. I used to think that like men, generally men, or even sometimes women, were like really helpful and really nice. And like, they were really like trying to have a productive dialogue with me about what I needed, and now that I'm getting a little older, I've gained a little weight, you know, I just realized that I had a bunch of pretty privilege in my 20s and 30s when men were just, so helpful and they couldn't wait to like, rush around me and, that they were just, and they would chat me up and strike up a conversation about, me and everything. And they just thought it was great. And I had this conception sometimes that like, oh, he was just trying to be nice or he was trying to be chivalrous. So sometimes I would allow these types of things to happen because of, "Oh, he's just trying to be chivalrous." Well, he just thought I was hot. So people, I was giving him way more uh credit than I should have. Um but I mean, anyway, I know I rambled. Thank you for being my therapist today, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Hopefully we can have these maybe we can have these coffee chats more often, and subscribe, like and subscribe. Like, subscribe, and I need to get to 100 subscribers or over. I'm at 99 subscribers. I hope you like my content. I just posted a bunch of Poppy Parker content, so go look at my shorts because they're cool. And yeah, let me know what else you'd like to talk about. Feel free to message me. I'm sure that the comments on this chat there are weird. But anyway, um, I will, I'm sure, read them and come back and block some people. But thank you for everybody that's supporting me, and thank you for, listening to me. And I want you to have a great day, people. And oh yeah, there's merch. There's merch coming soon. And there's merch, and I think a website is coming soon. So things are happening, people. Thank you so much for listening to me. Dislabel Dolly Diva is out. I have to go to work. Gotta go make the donuts. See you later.